Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sage House Apothecary. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for following me. Please be sure to hit the notification button. Also, be sure to subscribe. We have a lot to catch up, and I'm thinking about content that I need to shoot for my page. And so I figured that I would also use this time to show you all how to make a salve. I actually need to fulfill an order, which is long overdue. I did contact the customer to let her know that it was going to be delayed. So I wanted to share with you all how you all can make your own salve. And so I'm going to share with you the ingredients that I've pulled out, also the supplies that I've pulled out. Um, what you want to do, I don't have a double boiler. And if you don't have one, that's perfectly fine. You can still make products without having all of the accoutrements. So I have a pot over here. You just get a regular pot. This is a pot that we really don't use to cook. So I use this for my herbs and for my products. So I have this pot filled with water currently. It hasn't yet made it to the boil, but that's okay. Because we're not there yet. So there is so much stuff that we need to catch up on. Um, the Christmas holiday has been extremely busy. I think I mentioned to you that my daughter is here back from college. So I've basically been kicked out of my office because that's where she sleeps. And so I haven't been able to do a lot of the content recording that I would like to do, or I would have liked to have recorded because she's utilizing the space. So I've been trying to do what I could as I can. She will be heading back soon, which will free my space up to do more recording and more content sharing. I hope you all have had a happy new year. I am trying to get this ring off of my oil. Okay, so making a salve is super easy. Um, First, you want to make sure you decide what you want your base to be. So my base is going to be, and I'm not going to show the brand, but my base is going to be almond oil. So this is the oil that I'm going to use for my salve base. Salve is all oil and beeswax. Oil and beeswax. There is no water in it. If you get water in your salve, it will mess it up. So you want to make sure if you're using any jars, any bowls, or anything to mix your oils or your herbs in, that it is not wet. So you need to make sure that everything is thoroughly dry. Otherwise, if you get water in your salve, you're gonna have to start over. And the way that I know this is because I've done it several times. So I'm getting a jar. So you want to have a jar. This is what I use when I am infusing my oil. So this is why we're using the pot. So I'm going to fill up my jar um, with the amount of oil that I need, which is 4 ounces for this particular order. So I'm going to fill the oil up to 4 ounces. I may do like a little bit more, but 4 ounces is the almond oil that I'm going to fill up. Um, Also, I'm going to go through all that I have on hand. Once I fill up this oil, I'm kind of going ahead of myself. So I'm filling up my jar. This is about 4 ounces. I'm going to do a little bit more. When you measure out, you know exactly how much you have. So for the salve, I have my various herbs. So these are the herbs that will be infused in my oil. I also have my this thing. What is it? A mortar and pedestal. I have this, which if you are wanting to make your own products, or honestly, this is just a very beautiful item to have in my kitchen, regardless of using it for herbs or not. I cook a lot, I do a lot of baking, but this is really great. So I have this because I'm going to um, break down some of one of the roots that I have that's going to be infused into my oil. I also have 4 ounce container to put in my salve, to put my salve inside. So this will be housing my salve. But you can, if you don't have this, I ordered this from Amazon. If you don't have this, you can use just a regular jar. You all know that I have a drawer of jars. Let's see if I have. Salves, you can use like small little jars like this. I do have a smaller one right here. Like that's like about, I think it's 4 ounces, but it's probably being used somewhere. So you have your herbs, you have your oils, you have your container. You also want to make sure that you have beeswax. So this is a brand, this is white beeswax, because I don't like the yellow beeswax, but this is what I'm going to use. For me, the ratio that I like to use for my salve is a 2 to 1. So if my oil is 4 ounces, I'd always do half of the beeswax in tablespoons. So 4 ounces of oil, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of beeswax. Let me get my measuring spoon. All right. So figure out which herbs you want to infuse into your oil, which will then be used for your salve. You also want to make sure that you have a filter and probably a second either measuring cup or another jar. It's up to you. So put this in here because once our infusion is done, we're going to pour the oil through here. I also like to use a cheesecloth because I'm going to round some of the root down really small. So most likely the root's going to fall through the filter. So I'm going to use a cheesecloth to go inside of this when it's time for us to pour it. I'm going to put that to the side. All right. So this particular order, also make sure that you're working with clean hands. And just so I'm demonstrating, my hands are clean, but I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to clean my hands real quick. And again, we talked about that water situation, so make sure that either use gloves or just make sure your hands are thoroughly dry. Because again, water, any type of water content is going to mess up your salve, and you don't want that. Because all the time and the energy that we use to make our products, it is not helpful. So let's talk about 2024 as I infuse, as I put my herbs into my jar. So 2024 has been a year, an amazing year. I honestly can't even explain how tremendous this year was. Started off a little rocky, but in the end, when I tell you manifestation works, y'all, manifestation, I'm just using my herbs, putting it in here. When I tell you manifestation works, manifestation works. Of course, in order to manifest, and I've actually been manifesting a little bit differently. And again, I don't know if you all want to hear this content, but I'm going to share it anyway. But I have been manifesting differently. I used to manifest by like envisioning what it is that I want in life. And when I meditate, just really embodying that energy, sitting with it, feeling like I am that version of myself that has all of those things. And while also being in that space, I'm also dealing with some of the limiting beliefs and some of the programming that needs to be released in order for me to step into this new space of this new version of myself. That's how I used to manifest. Now I manifest by jumping timelines. So basically, and this is quantum physics, I believe, but every every possibility that we can ever imagine of ourselves, our life, exists out there in the ethers. So the only thing that you need to do in terms of moving timelines, or they call it quantum jumping, is by envisioning that line, that timeline, releasing the stuff that is keeping you from, like, thoughts that might be hindering your progress, or things that you might be indulging in that are keeping you stagnant. Just releasing and shedding those things so that when it's time for you to go to that timeline, your energetic vibration is already there. So you're just matching the vibration of the timeline that you wish to live in, if that makes sense. I know this sounds crazy, but it's what I do. And when I tell you, it works. Okay, so beginning of the year, for the holiday, we were in Portugal. And then when we got back, my partner was let go from his job. And so there were a period of months where, of course, he was nervous. And I was just like, no, everything is going to work out. It always does. Everything works out. And I was constantly meditating and envisioning a life for us. I was in January. In March, which I don't think he was, I don't think he got his new job until maybe late March, April. But in March, we were at our spot. We were still living, north side of Chicago, right off of the lake. Oops. We loved the space. We thoroughly loved the space. But we knew that we were going to end up moving because what we were paying for was pretty expensive. And I also wanted to have a space where I could see my Reiki clients, and also like have a space where I can make all of my products and not hold up the kitchen like I'm doing now. When you are done with your oils and your herbs, make sure to, I like to seal it just in case the water bubbles up. Again, we don't want water in our salve or in our oil. So I'm going to put this now in the pot. And if you don't want the jar completely on the bottom of the pot, you can use the jar top to put on the pot, and then it will sit on top. You see that? Okay. All right, so now that the oil is infusing, that's going to actually take some time. So I'm going to put this on a low simmer. It'll probably take, I'll probably infuse this oil for about 4 to 6 hours. I will not be on here for 4 to 6 hours. So anyway, going back to my story time. So this is story time in salve making. So I knew that we were going to end up moving, but I was envisioning a space that, like a townhome, because a friend of mine has a townhome. She has her own space where she sees her Reiki clients, and I like that it was separate from her living space. And so I was wanting something like that with a separate entrance. And so that was what I was manifesting and envisioning. And so in March, so again, January, he loses his job. End of January, he loses his job. March, I have my dog who is over here running back and forth. We were, I'd take him out to dog parks. There was a dog park over by us, but I didn't like it because the owners weren't really watching their dogs, and some dogs, like people, can be bullies. And so I decided that every weekend we would visit a new park. So this was in March. We found this place like in the cut, a little further south of where we were living. And so we visited the park. It didn't even feel like we were in Chicago. And honestly, where we were living up north, it didn't feel like we were living in Chicago. Just like the energy just felt different. But this new place, this play area where they have a dog park, it's enclosed, it's fenced in. When you enter in, and it's right off of a road that most people wouldn't go up. So A lot of people don't venture in this area. But the dog park, beautiful. The park that surrounded the park, the dog park, beautiful. The townhomes and the buildings that were in the area, beautiful. And so as we're driving through, I'm like, oh my gosh, this just feels like a completely different space and time in Chicago. So I sent a picture to my partner and I told him, I said, hey, there is this space over here. This neighborhood that we're in for the dog park. It is freaking beautiful. I wonder how much the townhomes would be, or I wonder how much it costs to live in this area. But I told him it's really isolated. It's very um, off the cut, like it's in the middle of everything. But to get there, you have to take certain streets. And so it's very secluded, and I just fell in love with it. And so in March, and I actually have a video of this back from March, that's the day that I discovered this park. And I said, I just love this area. And so that's the dog park that we started to go to. The dog owners were nice. The dogs were nicer, although there was this one dog that was kind of a pervert. But anyway, that's another thing. So we started going to this park. That was in March. Our lease ended in July. And so we started looking for places March, April, probably like May or June. So we started looking for some places. Again, I mentioned to my partner that I wanted a townhome, which would be less than what we were paying now. Because they would also include parking, because at the time we were paying for 3 parking spaces. Don't even ask. In addition to the apartment that we were living in, which was very expensive. And we weren't sure if we were going to buy, because at one point we were thinking of relocating to New York. And so anyway, so we start looking at properties. We start looking for an apartment. Of course, I'm looking at townhomes in a certain price range, and he's just like, let's look at everything. So there was one day where we're looking at and mind you, all this time I'm still manifesting. And I was even thinking, okay, well, if we don't do a townhome, again, I'm envisioning this timeline of how we were going to be living, where we're going to live, how it was going to feel. And I was like, oh, I think it would be nice. Okay, so if we don't do the town, because again, I want to keep things open. And that's another thing with manifesting, is that sometimes the way that it comes packaged to you, it doesn't necessarily look like what you envisioned, but it's important to just be open-minded. So I said, I would love a townhome, but if not, it'd be nice to have a balcony and, that would overlook the water, because we really like living by the water. So we had all of these places that we were visiting. We were looking at properties. We were doing these, going out, looking at places. And there was one place that we had an appointment for. I got stuck in a meeting with work, so I wasn't able to go. And so he went, and when he came back, he went with our real estate agent. And when he came back, he said, I found your place. I said, what are you talking about? He said, it has everything that we want. He said, you were looking for a place that would accommodate you being able to see your Reiki clients. You would like a space that, where you can make your products. And then he said, the amenities are great, blah, blah, blah. The only thing is that it is more expensive than what we're paying now. I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose. I was wanting to find a place that was less expensive so that I can save money and also build up my business and all of that stuff. So anyway, he came to me about this place, and I didn't get a chance to see it until after he decided that this is where we're going to be. And so I came and I saw the space, and it's in the area of the dog park, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump over from where we live currently. So we ended up moving to this new place in July. The apartment is beautiful. It's amazing. It has a balcony. It overlooks the water. There's a space here where I can see my Reiki clients. There's also a maker space where it's lower level 1, where if I wanted to bring all my products down there, I could make my stuff. But the only thing is that there's no burner down there or stove. So I just make everything here. I also have my office. But anyway, so again, going back to manifestation, or like I like to use the quantum, like timeline jumping, it's real. So again, January, my partner gets laid off. March, we find the dog park. I think around April, he ends up getting a new job with uh, an old organization that he worked with decades ago, but it's still like a nice, good company. Got a job there, got promoted, I think, very quickly in a matter of a couple of months, which is unheard of. Then we find this place, this space, because again, he didn't know where I was at the dog park. So he came and saw this place first. Then I followed, and when I came afterwards, he brought me here after he looked at it, and I told him, I said, "You realize this is the place that we have been going for the dog park? Because every time we would visit the dog park, I'm like, oh, I love the way it feels here. I love just this area. I love the energy. I would love to just be in a space like this, keeping things open in general." And so July, we move in this apartment, which we absolutely love. The amenities are chef's kiss. That was July. Um, August, I kind of went through some things. I went through some bumps and got a couple bruises to show for it. But so August, September, and October. So October, and mind you, we're also doing lots of traveling. And October, we go to New York for my birthday, which was a great trip. November, of course, we have the holidays. And then December, which is, I'm thinking, okay, it's the end of the year. What else could happen? Christmas, we decide to go and visit my sister and her family who live in Miami. So all of my family, we go and travel to Miami. Again, me and my partner, we're there. The kids are, they stayed here because my two kids had to work. And then his kids were also with their family. So it was just the two of us, my family, my parents, my middle sister, her husband, my older sister, her husband, and her children, and their dog. And so we rented this Airbnb out for Christmas holiday. Beautiful time. I think it was the next day, Christmas Day. So we got there Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. We're up. I am helping to cook breakfast. We're all, me and my sisters, there's three girls, we're all cooking breakfast. I'm on French toast duty. For those of you that may or may not know, my father is a professional photographer. So I grew up with a camera in my face, literally. Like I came out the womb with a camera in my face. That was my birth announcement. And if you all don't believe me, I can post that. But if you want me to, I can post it too, whatever. Um, so I'm cooking French toast and we're in the kitchen. It's a nice little vibe. We're laughing, dancing. The guys are out in the living room area of the Airbnb. And then my partner is coming and he was like, "Is breakfast almost ready? Like, people are hungry, blah, blah, blah. Like, when do you think it'll be over? When do you think it'll be done?" I said, I just started making the French toast. My sister was on the eggs. I said, I'm almost, I just started, but, breakfast will be ready soon. So cooking breakfast, and then he comes back again. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't understand where this urgency is coming from. But at this point, I'm getting a little perturbed. Like, I don't understand what's happening and why is this an issue? Just you all sit, breakfast will be ready. So every event that we have, my father is always taking pictures. He has a camera on him all the time. So my partner comes back in again. He says, "Christy, your father wants to take a picture." Why does he want to take a picture right now? I am in the middle of making French toast. Breakfast is almost ready. We're right smack in the middle of it. He said, "Well, we need to do it right now." He's like, "You know how your dad is. You know how your dad is." So I go out in the living room and I turn the stove off, put the French toast that I had in the pan, put it on the plate. I still have like egg stuff on my fingers. I'm just like, "Daddy, I don't understand why we have to do this now. Can't we just finish the breakfast?" And my partner says, "Sit down." So I sit down and I still feel the egg yolk on my fingertips. So I run back up. He starts kind of talking to the family. So I run back, go into the kitchen to wash my hands. And now I'm starting to understand what's happening. So I come back and he was like, what are you doing? I said, washing my hands. So I'm coming back and he's like, sit down. So I sit down. I have been told many times that I have a hard time sitting still. It may or may not be true. But so I'm sitting down and then he starts talking in front of my family. This is my partner talking. So I'm thinking, okay, where's this picture? You got me out here. Where's this picture? So I'm a little annoyed. So he proceeds to share with my family just how big of a blessing it has been to be accepted into our family and to really feel like a part. And he's been saying that the last couple of years that we've been together, it's been blah, blah, blah. He proposes. Did a great job, by the way. So let me tell you, so I knew it was going to happen at some point in time. Now, there are previous events that took place this year where I was thinking, okay, is this going to be it? Is this going to be it? Because, you always want to, for me, I am not good with surprises. I like to plan, I like to prepare. Let me know so I can at least put some lip gloss on, do a little zhuzhing of something. And I don't wear a lot of makeup, but at least just let me know so I can prepare and be dressed appropriate. But this morning, that morning that he proposed, I hadn't taken a shower. I hadn't brushed my teeth. I might have even had some drool on my mouth. I mean, I'm up making making French toast with my sisters, and then he proposes, and I was shocked. I he so my partner's in tech, my now fiance's in tech, but he says that I blue screened. If you all know computers, then you know exactly what that means. I blue screened. I really did because I was in shock. I honestly did not know what to do. I'd say for 4 hours, I just sat and stared at the walls in disbelief. And I knew that I was supposed to be really happy. My family was happy for me. Of course, I was really excited and happy too, but it just did not sink in. And so I was just sitting because I really wanted to just run away and curl up and just process what was happening. And I didn't really have that opportunity to do that because I'm surrounded by family. And so I'm kind of just in this haze and daze of shock for a good 4 hours. So I think it was around 1 o'clock. Yeah, this happened around 10. Around 1 o'clock, I finally get in the shower because we were hanging out by the pool and talking and celebrating, and they were taking pictures and videos, and he's telling his friends. And so I finally get in the shower, and once I'm in the shower, I look down at my ring and I just start laughing hysterically. This is also something that I've been working on in terms of manifesting. This is something that I've been desiring, and it happened. And I was not expecting it. I didn't know. I was shocked. So I'm in the shower looking at my ring, and then I'm dying laughing hysterically. And then I'm able to process it. This actually happened. Like, he just proposed in front of my family. I said yes. I have the ring to prove it. It's a black diamond, y'all. He did good. It's a black diamond. And then it has like diamonds. I don't know if you can see it, but it has diamonds all the way around. It's total of 21 little diamonds. So how this came about, for those of you who know me from the Two Queens and Crystal Things podcast, my partner, we were having a conversation and she's, oh my gosh, everyone is getting engaged. What is going on? What is in the water? So we talk. So she said, yeah, my friend is getting engaged, but she said that she doesn't want a traditional diamond. She wants this particular crystal. Have you ever heard of this crystal? And I said, I've never heard of that crystal. I have to look it up. And then she said something, so what kind of, whenever you decide to make it happen, or whenever you all decide what kind of ring do you want? And I said, well, I definitely don't want a traditional diamond. I said, I could do like a black diamond, something that's non-traditional. She's like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh, well, what? She's like, that's nice. I never even thought about a black diamond. What kind of shape do you like? And I said, oh, something like emerald or pear or something like that. While I'm on this conversation with her, she is texting my partner, letting him know, I'm sorry, fiance, letting him know what type of ring that I want. So when I see the ring, I realize she gave him everything. But he do well. He did so well. And then my nails weren't done when he proposed to me. So the next day, the next morning, I immediately got out of the bed and went and got my nails done because I didn't want to be taking pictures and have my hands jacked up. Although I did cut my finger a while ago. I don't know if you all remember, but I did a post about cayenne pepper and how pepper helps to um, it helps to numb certain pain receptors, and it's also good for healing sores. And so I put cayenne on my pepper. I put cayenne on my pepper. I put cayenne pepper on my finger when I got cut, and it healed. But I realized because it's right on the joint, it's been taking a long time to heal because I'm always like reopening the scar. So my hand doesn't look as pretty as I would like for it to look, but so that happened Christmas Day. Then for New Year's Eve, we fly out to New Orleans because my fiance's best friend is turning 50. So after we left Miami, we were home for I think 2 or 3 days, and then we flew out to New Orleans. And flew out to New Orleans and actually let's put a pin in the New Orleans thing because that's you all know what happened New Year's Eve, and I'll get to that. Let me get back, let me go back a little bit. So before my fiance proposed to me, I work at a healthcare system here in Chicago. I work in public health and I love the work that I do. I love my job. Love the people that I work with. I enjoy the work that I do. I feel like it's meaningful. This is essentially what I envisioned my job to be when I was getting my MPH, which is the Master's in Public Health. I get this message, a DM through LinkedIn asking if I would have time to talk about a role. This person thought that I was well versed in the work that they're doing. I seem to have the background that fit and the skills. And he wanted to take a couple of minutes to have a conversation with me to talk to me about this opportunity. I saw it and I looked at it and I thought it was a scam. So I didn't respond. Then I said, well, there's no harm in actually learning more about the position. So if he wants to have a conversation with me, that should be fine. Let me just have a conversation and just be open to hearing about this opportunity. So I was skeptical, but I was open. And so I had the conversation with this guy, the recruiter. We had a conversation, told me about this position, which is very similar to the job that I'm doing now or that I was doing at the time, but it was paying more money, which is what I wanted. And, it's remote, so I'm still working remote. And sorry, my sister just texted me. So it's working remote and there's also some travel involved. And so I was like, okay, it wouldn't hurt. So I interviewed for the job, seemed to be cool, and ended up I got flued out to Jersey to present. They gave me a case study to present on for the work that I'm doing. I flew out to New Jersey, presented the case study, did a presentation that went pretty well. Anyway, I got the job. I had literally 2 weeks to give my job notice that I was leaving. Now, mind you, this was so unexpected because I freaking love my job. I love the people that I was working with. I loved everything about it. I mean, of course, there are a couple of things here and there that happened, but I think the biggest thing was that my earning potential was capped. I also didn't have a place where I could grow into. So I was pretty much where I was at in that job. And so with this new job, there's room for growth. Earning potential is higher. And so they offered me the job and I took it. 2 weeks of um 2 weeks notice, and I had to transition out. So as of yesterday was my last day at my job, and I start the new job on Monday. So again, just going back to manifesting and really envisioning the life that you want for yourself. When I tell you that is real, I don't know if I want to curse on here yet, but when I tell you it's real, it is so real. And I tell people all the time, just look at my life 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Completely different life, completely different life, completely different person. That was a whole different version of myself. And I've done a lot of work around healing, around dealing with unforgiveness, uh, dealing with my limiting beliefs and thoughts that I had about myself and about what I was able to do. And through my work as a Reiki practitioner and through the work that I do, like healing and working with clients, I was able to completely create an entire new life. And so when I tell you that manifestation is real, I also manifested my car too. Like it's so many things. And the apartment that I moved from to come here, I manifested that too. So this story time is just about really embodying what it is that you desire for yourself and knowing that you can absolutely change the trajectory of your life just through your thought, through choices, through healing work, through forgiving, through um, being in a place of joy and happiness. And all of that is a choice. Like we choose those things. So, yeah, that's part of my story time. It's just 2024 has been a year of wow. It's been a year of wow. Like truly, truly has been a year of wow. Um, Business wise, with Sage House, I'm still figuring that out. I mean, there have been parts of me where I'm like, do I need to sunset Sage House? Because I was initially wanting Sage House to replace my job, the healthcare job that I mentioned, so that I could do that full time, but that hasn't happened. I haven't been able to get it up to that level yet. But I also realize that it's probably just a phase or a time for me to do both right now. And I'm okay with that. So I did have conversations about whether or not I'm going to sunset Sage House. We'll see this year. I think I will make that decision later this year, or maybe it's just an expensive hobby that I just do. Um, okay, so manifestation. Talked about manifestation. Now, let's talk about New Orleans. So we were out there for my fiance's best friend's 50th birthday. They've known each other since they were 2 or 3. This is a very long-standing relationship. So we were staying right outside of the quarter, right on the edge. Well, anyway, the whole incident with what happened New Year's Eve or like New Year's Day, that was right in front of our hotel. Right in front of our hotel. And for those of you who have been to New Orleans before, you all know that there's sirens and people. And I mean, there are all sorts of sounds that are happening throughout the day, throughout the night. So when we came, because we went to a party for New Year's Eve, and I think we were done around 1 o'clock, and we walked back from the party and grab something to eat because we were starving. Unfortunately, we got to the party a little bit later and some people ate all the food. But so we went and grabbed something to eat real quick, which is a couple doors down from our hotel. And then we went back to our hotel and went to sleep. And then we woke up with text messages asking, "Are you all okay? Is everything okay? Is everything okay?" We're like, "What's going on?" And then we find out what happened with this person. I don't want to even talk about it in that way, but it's unfortunate. And I'm so saddened for the families who have lost their loved ones. And it's definitely scary. We had to let people know we were okay. I We slept through it because we didn't hear it. We didn't hear anything, but it was right outside of our hotel. So the next morning I went to go grab some coffee for us. Actually, I went to grab some breakfast for us, and everything was roped off. You know, we couldn't, so our hotel was right on Canal between Bourbon and Royal. So we were right there. I think the incident happened on Canal and Bourbon, like around the corner, but we can see the cops and the FBI truck right outside of our window. It was chaos. And so we were getting a little nervous, but anyway, we were safe. Nothing happened. We were able to get to our airport okay. But that was somewhat of a wild way to end 2024. But again, 2024 was probably one of the best years in both of our lives. It had some ups and downs, but the one thing that I will say is there's a cycle. When you are on a high, just be prepared for that high to come down. You're going to be in the valley. You're going to be in the valley, but also know, like, if you are in a dark place, if you're in a low point, just know that there's going to be an upswing. And sure enough, 2024 did not disappoint. So that is my story time. I'm going to take a look at my oil. Also good to shake it too, because again, we want to get all of that good healing contents from the herbs. And then if the water is starting to get lower, you can always pour some in, but do it slowly and make sure that the water is either warm or somewhat hot, so that, because sometimes depending on how thick your jar is, it could crack and you don't want that. So, all right, so I'm gonna pause it here and then I will come back once we are ready to pour our oil. I hope you all enjoyed my story time. And if you all have any questions about manifesting or want to have more of these type of conversations, please let me know, because I love this stuff. Love this stuff. And it is absolutely true. It is amazing what we can do with our mind. It is amazing what we can do with energy. When people talk about, high vibe, keep things high vibe, that is keeping your energy at a place of love and joy and happiness and forgiveness. All of that is, the energy is high vibrational. Your frequency is higher when you live in that space. When you are living in a space of jealousy and sadness and hatred and envy, that brings your energy here. So the best way for us to be able to create our life, because again, we are the main character in our story. We are the main character. And so we also are the director, the producer, the videographer, the writer. We get to basically determine the type of life we want to have. We are the creators of our lives. We truly are. I firmly believe that. And for those of you that have to say otherwise, perfectly fine. You all can believe otherwise. I just know what I have done in my life. This life that I live right now is a completely different life than I would have ever imagined, ever. It is definitely giving dream, but it's amazing and it's beautiful. And not to say that my life is perfect at all, because it's not, but that's also what makes life so beautiful, is the imperfections. Nothing in life is perfect. But so yeah, let me know if you all want to continue these, type of conversations. Again, please like, subscribe, follow, share my video. And if you are wanting to learn more about making other products, please let me know what you're interested in making. I figured make this salve while I'm recording, content, make the salve so I can also show you how to make it. And yeah, so I'm going to pause and we will be back. Okay. Thanks for listening. Again, like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Thanks. Back. And it's time for need to pour out our infused, or my infused oil. So be careful because it is hot. So again, I have Pyrex cup. I have a filter. I actually got this on Amazon. It comes in 3 different sizes. Small size. And then I do have a larger size, which I think is in the dishwasher. But these are a good thing to always have on hand. All right, so I'm going to adjust my camera. This in there. Cheesecloth. And pour. Again, be careful because the contents are hot. I like to gather all of the 4 corners of the cheesecloth and press to get everything out. Again, be careful. You can always use you can use tongs too. So if it gets too hot, because you don't want to leave anything out. You want to get as much of the oil as possible. Okay. Put to the side. Feel free to moisturize your hands too. Okay, so now that this is done, you want to make sure that everything is filtered out. So this is very clear. There aren't any remnants of plant, although if there is, that's perfectly fine. So now a little bit more water. Not hot. And so now what we're gonna do, so again, this is 4 ounces. It's a little over 4 ounces. Remember I said it's a little bit more. So I'm sorry, it's not balanced, but it's a little over 4 ounces, which is fine. What I'm going to do, 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna do 2-ish, since this is a little bit more than 4 ounces. Just do like a little bit. And so now what we're gonna do, since we've taken our jar out of the pot, also you might want to get, I had a little stick, but now it's missing. Chopsticks that you get from restaurants, the kind that you can just toss out. These are very helpful to use when you're working with your herbs. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this back in the pot and we're gonna stir until all of this dissolves. Okay. We want to make sure that you see no beeswax in here. And if you take a look at the top, you can kind of tell when it's all the way melted. If it's not all the way melted, sometimes you'll see like little shadows of the beeswax. You don't want that because when it dries and becomes a solid, it's not going to be even. You'll see some of the pieces of beeswax. And you don't want that. You want a solid product with everything that is fully infused and mixed together. So now I'm going to put this in the pot. And I'm going to stir. And that will probably take maybe 20 minutes or so. So I will be back. And I will see you all then. Okay, so I just removed the oil with the melted beeswax out of the pot. And you can tell when it's done because you won't see any more of the beeswax. You want to try and get all of that melted, so it's really important to stir it frequently as it's melting. But you should see, like, you can kind of tell if you look at the top of the surface, if you see pieces or remnants of beeswax, you know that it hasn't melted all the way. This is the part where, and I'm going to adjust the camera. This is the part where we add our essential oils. So I use a little bit of vitamin E because it helps to stabilize your products and helps to keep it from going rancid. I just use a couple of drops. And then I am using some vanilla and a little bit of lemon essential oil. Put in as much as you like. And now we're going to pour. So I like to arrange things so that I don't get oil on my counter. So you all see that? So my container, it's a little dented, but it'll be fine. Okay. Plugging it in. And remember, I did have a little extra. And so now, screw it the top. Be careful, it's hot. Let me do it this way. Screw the top on, be careful because it's going to, I actually filled this all the way to the top. So I really don't like to handle it when I pour it in here, but I was trying to show you all just screwing the top on. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave it loosely on like this. I'm gonna put it to the side and I'm gonna let it become solid, which will take maybe about an hour or so. And then your salve is ready for you to use. And if you like, I don't need to stay on here and have, show you what it looks like dry. Although, hold on a second. I think I do have a salve that I can share. So I found a salve. This is actually an older salve, but it's solid. This is probably not the 2-to-1 ratio because this is a little bit more solid than I would like. I like for it to be easy on the fingers. If you just slide it across, you should be able to pick up the salve. This is definitely more solid, but this is how it will look, although it will be fully solid. But salve is really great. Again, it's oil-based with beeswax, so it's really great at keeping in the moisture. I will say that if you have any allergies to propolis, beeswax is not what you want to use, which means salve is probably not the best thing for you to use as well. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching my video. Again, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that thumbs up so that you can be notified, or the bell. Actually, hit the thumbs up to like, but also hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of any of my videos. And then if you have any questions or if you're interested in me making something else, let me know. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful new 2025 and hope to see you again. Bye.